All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Network Hour podcast. I am your host, Molly Crease, and today I have a special guest with me, the young Black entrepreneur, boss woman, Aerika Miles, of owner of I Am Brown Originations. Erica is passionate about social justice, diversity, and inclusion, which led to her becoming an entrepreneur, highlighting minority owned brands and spaces. And today we're going to talk to Erica about her business. We're going to talk about who she is. We're going to learn so much today in this podcast. And so I want to give a warm welcome to Erica to the Network Hour podcast. Erica, welcome.
Thank you, Molly, for having me. Great introduction. I don't think I've been ever introduced in that form or that way. I was like, ooh, my heart is warm. And now the pressure is on. So I'm hoping that whatever I say uh hits because I can't miss now.
Yeah. I'm so excited for this podcast because I was reading up on your profile and all your mentions in the different spaces, and you seem like such a light, such a person that young entrepreneurs, women can look up to and really see that if she's doing it, I can do it too. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna learn more about you and hopefully inspire someone that's listening to this podcast. So I want to ask you, who is Aerika Miles? Tell me who is Aerika Miles.
Who? Erica Miles, she's a lot of things.
Mhm.
And the book is still being written on that. However, I could just tell you, like, with me just being in spaces, um, growing up when I was younger, I was born in Richmond, Virginia, moved down to Atlanta, Georgia in the 90s, went in Stone Mountain, where it wasn't that great of a time to be in Atlanta in the 90s, but I was able to when I was younger, it's weird. I was able to be around a lot more minorities than when I grew up. Um, I grew up with Hispanics, other Black people, white people that didn't have a lot of privilege. I knew one of my best friends, his name was Peyton. He lived in, the trailer homes and stuff like that, but that was normal to us. Like there was no judgment over there. And then all of a sudden, my parents got a good opportunity. They're entrepreneurs themselves, but I never looked at myself as an entrepreneur. We moved out to a suburb, and then that's when I started being confronted with racism for the first time,
Oh
but didn't know
wow.
that racism. It was just like, oh, these people are just being mean. But it's like now that I'm getting older, it's like, no, they were racist. Like you fit some sort of a description, and they were vocal about it. And they knew that there was no consequences with being vocal or taking action onto it because they have the privilege on their side. So, it was just an eye opener to just go through and be the Black girl in the suburbs or whatnot, trying to fit in or trying to figure out what's going on or trying to give white people the benefit of the doubt, right? Of like them not being racist, they're just probably a messed up person. And then all of a sudden, when I get to college, I go to a community college, I am confronted with racism again on a softball team that I was on, and it wasn't a great experience, but I was able to bounce back. And then I transferred to HBCU where I had people that looked like me, but I felt like they could see through me because maybe they thought I was maybe the white girl on campus because I talk proper or I talk a certain way or I dress a certain way. Or, you know, I don't fit in a certain, I don't fit in a girl from the hood
Yeah.
depiction. I never claimed that I'm from the hood, but also like I'm not totally preppy and suburban all the time. Like I feel like I'm a good fit, kind of like Issa Rae and Insecure. Like she's not from the
Yeah.
hood, she's not necessarily like spick and span and clean. And so I think my experiences, good and bad, have kind of molded me into the person that I am today, which with therapy, it has helped. And also with the pandemic that has happened, that's what made me decide to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, no, I can do this by myself. I don't need to work underneath somebody, a 9 to 5, in order to be successful. I can be successful with that and having an additional source of income or a business on the side. That was long.
That's no, that's amazing. That's definitely amazing. Uh, Tell me about. So we've talked about who Erica is, but what do you do for fun? What lights you up? What makes you goofy, giddy? That you just gotta do it, take the pressure off, stress free. What do you do for fun?
I'm not gonna lie. I go on TikTok a lot more and I just look at videos and I just laugh because I'm like, oh my gosh, like people are just like ridiculous. Or you look at like World Star and you just like, how do people think of this stuff? Or why do people think that this is okay? But it's like it gives me laughter. So sometimes when I'm watching like comedy or just like ratchet stuff, I start laughing or, whatever the case may be. But I like to go out and I like to do stuff that's kind of like adventure or sporty. So like I will do theme parks, I will go to ropes course, I will do rock climbing. There's times where I'm like, I just want to relax and I'm just going to treat myself to a facial or a massage or get my hair done, which I'm getting my hair done today after this interview. So, there's times where it's like, no, I don't even want to think about anything else. Let me just do something that's adventurous, like go bowling, axe throwing, whatever the case may be. But then there's times where like, no, I just need to decompress and relax, and I'll sit back and watch TV or, like I said, get that massage or that facial because the body needs it. So,
Yeah, yeah. Axe throwing. I have to try that. I see people doing that all the time. I'm like, is somebody gonna hurt themselves? But I think I would love to try it. I could never get into. I guess it's this generation with the TikTok. I tried doing it for my business. I think I have an account and I probably posted like 3 videos and that's it. But I could never get into the whole attraction of the TikTok. I don't know. Anyway. Um Question to you. So you mentioned in your introduction about who Erica is and all that stuff. You mentioned that you're an entrepreneur, and we're gonna get into that. But what I want to ask you is have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Was this something that you taught about in college, or was it something new that you developed after college and having some experience in the corporate world or whatever, and deciding, okay, I want to jump into entrepreneurship? How did you transition into that?
well, I would say I am just transitioned to it. Like I'm new to it. I didn't think about this until the pandemic. Like
Hmm.
how everybody else probably thought of it as well. You grow up and you're taught to go to school, get that college degree, and you work your 9 to 5 until it's time to retire or whatnot.
Hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, I have had some great experience working in the workplace, but I had a lot more negative. And the thing about it is not like work wasn't being done or completed. I, I might sound lazy, I might sound bad, but I don't believe in waking up at 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and then having to get in my car and get to work at a certain time and stay at a desk on a computer for nine,
Oh my
eight.
gosh, it's exhausting, isn't it?
Right. And then you're caught up in traffic. Sometimes you're hungry, so you want to stop and get something to eat. Sometimes the workplace doesn't provide breakfast for you, free breakfast at that. So it's like, what am I rushing for? And like that's why right now it's like I'm fortunate to work in a remote space that, if work starts at 9, I can get up at 8:15, brush my teeth. I don't have to get totally dressed for work. I can cook myself something quick to eat or pop something in the oven or the toaster, and boom, I'm right there for a meeting. And so, I think before the pandemic there was this like anytime when I hear an entrepreneur, I'm like, oh, so basically you're saying that you work for yourself. That's just a classic way of saying that like, you're probably broke or you don't have you're like, you don't want to work because the
Mm-hmm.
way to work is to work this 9 to 5. And, sometimes you got to do what you have to do what you want to do later and stuff like that. But then, you know, there's been jobs where they don't treat you right, or, they want you to give them a 2 weeks notice on when you're gone, but they don't give you a 2 weeks notice when they're about to fire you or let you go. And it's just kind of like, it's just like I always thought about like, maybe I could like own a store and have people work for me to make extra income on the side, but I'm always still gonna work that 9 to 5. And then the pandemic happened, and then I had to move back home. I had to be on unemployment. I literally finished an internship. Mind you, I had a master's degree at this time, and I was like 27. I was like, I'm doing an internship for $30,000 a year, and here it is, this pandemic has happened, and now I have to be looking for jobs that are now 35 grand instead of like the 40 or the 45 that I wanted to reach beforehand. People would tell me even more before the pandemic, like, your first job after your internship, you might not pass 40K. You have to be okay with 35 to 40 or 45K. And I'm like, no, I got bills and I got loans. What is 35K going to do for me?
Not with a master's degree.
Not with a master's degree. Like, why like why did I take out this loan that's not 35K? It's worth a little bit more than 35K, and yet I can't seem to pay that back within 2 or 3 years working at certain jobs because this is the norm. And so I think also what kind of drove me to be an entrepreneur is like, after the pandemic or during the pandemic, I was visiting my uncle up in Virginia for the summer, and he was telling me about a situation. And I think this is when my aha moment happened. He was telling me about a situation. He works for the post office, but he owns a lot of property. So he has people that rent out his spaces, and he makes money for that really good passive income. He told me that one time at his job, something happened and they suspended him for a week. And he's like, oh, okay. I guess I'll see you guys in a week. Completely cool, calm, and collected. Literally, like 2 days later, they call him back saying that they need him to be on the floor. And he's like, well, what happened to that week suspension that I had? And they were like, oh, well, we can lift that, or, delete it or excuse it. We just need you to be back on the floor. And that's when my uncle was saying, like, when you have your own business that's actually making more or just the same amount as your 9 to 5 job, whatever an employee does to you, it doesn't matter, because you're content. You are like, this is not the only source of income that you have. Because I know me, if somebody was to say, Erica, you're suspended, especially with no pay, I would have freaked out. I have been in work situations where I had to like bite my tongue and not say things to upset them, even though I'm in the right, because they have the power to restrict my income or whatnot. And he was just like, you know, I'll choose if I want to go back. And he was like, well,
Mm.
no, I'm already out. I'll probably be back in the next 2 days. And they had to sit there and just be okay with it because they originally suspended him. And I feel like that was such a powerful move, like a power move that I have never done before or never been in a space to do that for. And that's what something said was like, Erica, you need multiple sources of income, because you can't allow people will treat you how they want to or what you allow them to do. And when you show them like, hey, I really don't need this job, so if you want to treat me in that type of form, that's completely fine, but I'm going to be completely content without it, with or without it. The power, you regain your own sense of power. And I think that's so, I think every minority needs that, especially living in this white filled world.
Yeah, you're so right about that. I think the light bulb went off for a lot of people during the pandemic because they realized that because a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people, even though you didn't lose your job and your boss wanted to keep things just to have you, they cut your pay. So if you were paid a certain amount and you already budgeted for this, let's say you're getting $1,500 every quarter or whatever. You've already budgeted your bills and everything with this $1,500. And then up comes the pandemic and your pay is cut and you're now bringing home 1,000 instead of 1,500. Now you got to go shift some things around. Some things might not get paid and all of these kind of stuff. And I think the reality of the pandemic and needing multiple income brought that out, and people are like, now I can't just depend on a job. I have to do other things to get multiple streams of income so that if one fall out here, I know I'm gonna be okay over here. So you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, thank you. If I can also add, I feel like entrepreneurship, especially like for some reason now, especially in this generation of millennials and I think it's a Gen Z now. It's
Yeah.
like entrepreneurship is like idolized. Like if you're not an entrepreneur, da 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 da. And I just want to make sure like people that are listening or even thinking about entrepreneurship but don't know where to go, you can be rich, you can retire early, you can still have multiple incomes and still work a 9 to 5. I still work a part-time position working remotely that I'm trying to get to possibly maybe becoming full-time while I'm still trying to build my business. That doesn't make me less of an entrepreneur. And I think one of my colleagues, her name is Kiera McClendon, she was even telling me like just because you work for another company, that doesn't make you less of an entrepreneur. If anything, it enhances you more because now you have to do somebody else's job and do your own. And I feel like if you're not an entrepreneur, you feel like I don't have that entrepreneur spirit, that doesn't make you less of a person or less of anything. If you know, you can always help somebody's business out and always be the second man, and that be your entrepreneurship, being freelance, helping other businesses, with their branding or their outreach or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, I just want to put that out there because I know like a lot of people idolize entrepreneurship and it's hard work.
It's
It's not
hard.
is not for the weak. I would say that. And if you don't have that entrepreneur spirit, that's okay. You can still be rich. You can still do things. You're still valuable. Like there's so many different ways to make money. But yeah, entrepreneurship. Whew,
Yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart because
yeah.
there are gonna be those days where the money doesn't come in as you wanted it to. And if you're a soulpreneur, then that means you're wearing all the hats. You're doing the marketing, you're doing the business side, you're doing the financial side, you're doing all these things by yourself. And it can become overwhelming. So you definitely have to have a mindset for entrepreneurship when you dive into being an entrepreneur and knowing it's not going to happen overnight. It has to be consistency and really going towards your goal. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask this: why is it important for you to, because you are a young Black woman entrepreneur, so you have some people would refer to it as having uh, probably three strikes against you. You're young, you're Black, and you're a woman. So why is it important for you to show up as a Black woman, successful in entrepreneurship, and put that message out there to others looking at you?
Because I have no choice but to be. You like you said, I already have 3 strikes. I'm young, I'm Black, and I'm a woman. And also I don't conform to white corporate America guidelines, if you will. I do believe in dyeing your hair a different color. I don't believe that you have to dress a certain way to show people that they should take you seriously. You know,
Hmm.
I don't conform to those norms. And as you kind of and now as this generation is like molding, remote positions are becoming more popular, we're starting to steer away from that. But I always been that way. Like I feel like I've been ahead of my time. I just been in a space where you have to sit down, shut up and be quiet and not be seen. And now it's like no, like I'm always going to be seen, even when I try not to be seen or try to like hide or form or mold or whatnot. I still um stand out. So I think that it's important for minorities to show up as authentic and transparent as they can, to show like, yes, I may have these three strikes against me, but I'm worth the challenge. I'm worth the money. I'm worth getting to know. And I think that, especially, I hate to say it, but sometimes in communities of color, we feel like, when we have this really good thing, this good secret or whatnot, we want to keep it close to ourselves and not have to share it and not have to share it. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like that. We can all win. We can all partner with one another. We can all uh profit and put money in towards, with one another to build. I remember a story of five black men, young black men. I think they took 2 years to save up $500 a week. They all decided to buy a property or buy a home, and that was their first sense of entrepreneurship and income. They saved up, they put their money together. It took 2 years or whatnot, and they were able to buy a property and profit from it. Now it's kind of like, if you don't have it on your own, you're probably not going to get it. Or, you can't just trust everybody and anybody and stuff like that. I'm not saying that to trust everybody and anybody, because there's people that don't know how to manage certain finances right, or really don't know what it's like to really work hard or be an entrepreneur for certain things. However, I think that we win better together than we do apart. And that's why I think that, seeing that Black people, we make up what, 5 or 10% of the entrepreneurial rate here in America.
Yeah.
Is less for Hispanics. I think Middle Easterns are probably a little bit higher than Black Americans, and then I think Asians are up there too. But they're stereotyping doing the hair care products or the beauty stores, or if the Muslim, they're doing like, whatever, wings or Philly cheesesteak restaurants or whatever
Yeah.
it be. So, we're still this much in the world. And I think that, when it's important for us to show who we are, and you're supposed to be okay with people not being cool with that and moving on to the next, because there's going to be a lot of people that do not like the word I am brown or the name I am brown, because I get, well, what about if I said I am white? That comes off as racist. And it's like, well, if you don't understand the concept, it's not for you. This is not going to work. So I'm just going to move on to somebody that understands the concept.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's a great segue for you to tell us about I Am Brown, and where did the name originate from? Why did you name your company that? And tell us more about the business and what the business is all about.
Yes. So I am Brown Originations is kind of like a love letter to my younger self, of like, like, again, I I feel like when I was growing up, I was majority discriminated on my skin, on how dark my skin was, than being a woman, and sometimes just being like Black. I feel like if I was like a lighter skin woman, I wouldn't have, or a lighter skinned girl, I wouldn't have encountered some of the things that I encountered. I probably would have encountered it, but it would have been less. I'm trying to think of the word. It wouldn't have been as much as
Mm-hmm.
if I was a lighter skin complexion. So I was like, I am Brown Originations. And my mom didn't like it because she's like, it's too bold, people might not, deal with it. And I was like, if they don't, and one thing about me, I do not care what people think. If you don't rock with it, you don't rock with it. Don't buy from it. That's how I feel about it. But somebody's gonna buy from it. Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
understand. Somebody's gonna like the boldness. So, you know, we're still slowly but surely trying to get away from that. But Iron Brown Originations, if you look at my logo, the I will be lowercase. And the reason why the I is lowercase is because the I stands for impact, but as minorities, we are treated as lowercase letters. We are treated as not valuable people. We're never in the uppercase positions. We're not treated like, we're not treated as we have privilege. And so, as we've seen with the voting polls with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, you see that I is lowercase, but it's the largest letter in the whole logo because we make the biggest impact. We might be treated as lowercase, but we make the biggest impact. That's why it's in lowercase I, but it's like the biggest letter in the logo brand. And so AM stands really for my initials, Aerika Miles, but it
Mm-hmm.
just made it, you know, I guess mold better with I am Brown. And the word brown, you will see that the B and the R are lowercase, but the OWN are uppercase because I'm telling people to own their brownness.
Nice.
So, and you'll see like the rays of sunshine. Well, actually, we're kind of trying new things with the logo now. Now in the next few weeks, we're gonna redo the logo, but the logo that I currently have with the sun, you'll see the different shades of brown on the sun ray because I
Mm-hmm.
want people to own their brownness no matter how light they are nor how dark they are. Like you own it. That's who you are. You can't like your skin is nothing to be ashamed of. Your skin is everything to be proud of. And what people think or treat you about that speaks more about them than you. So that's kind of my way of giving a big middle finger to racists. Be like, yeah, I am Brown Originations, and I'm proud of it, and there's nothing you can do about it. Buy from it or don't.
That's amazing. I love that explanation of the name and the logo. I think that explanation should be definitely spread all over your website because it's definitely a great pitch to your business. So talk about the business. What is it?
So the business is growing. I started off as a vending machine business where I own vending machines, and I was partnering with some local business owners or even non-local. I partner with a guy out in Baltimore to put their homemade like products inside the vending machine because I wanted to give small business owners an opportunity to kind of be in that first place. As we see, like there's brands like Lay's chips, Sprites, Cokes, and all that are consistently getting business and stuff, and now they're you can't go anywhere without seeing them. I wanted to give small business owners like that platform to have their products inside my vending machine so that people could try something new. Now that is still growing. I'm still trying to partner with a lot more small business owners to get things together with that vending machine so we can get more products, because there are some products that I had to go to the Sam's Club and kind of replace or have that as a placeholder until that is filled with other products. But I like where it is right now because it gets students. That's where I have my vending machines on off-campus student housing right now. It gives students like the opportunity to try something new, and they
Mm-hmm.
can do their research of like, oh, I tried this cookie, it was pretty good, I wonder who makes it and stuff like that. And so if I can kind of combine stuff that they already are accustomed to things that they are not accustomed to, it could give them that balance to like try something new and to help another business owner. Because like I put on my vending machines, for every dollar you put inside this vending machine, you are helping a minority business owner. So that was my way of just kind of marketing it. And now I am trying to start a 360 photo booth business in the next few months, maybe in the beginning of next year. I really like events. I really like party planning and like kind of having people, feel good about their event or their space. And they're becoming very popular. There's a couple here in Dallas, but Dallas is a huge metroplex, but I'm trying to expand on that and see like how that goes and stuff, and also have another source of income and kind of bring my name out and stuff before I start, with something else. But so far, the vending machines, we're about to have three vending machines on three different locations. I'm about to put the third one out within the next 2 weeks and stuff like that. So we're slowly growing ish. We started in September with that, and now it's May. So still slow, but we're slowly trying to get the brand and the name out, trying to network my way so that people know to contact me for certain things that we have services for.
That's amazing. It's a really amazing concept and a great idea. So how many vending machines do you have so far that are functional?
Three,
Three.
three. So I have three, and I'm putting it on three locations. And
Mhm.
the property manager, one of the property managers, she out of those three locations, she manages two of them.
Mhm.
So that right there, I'm just like, okay, well, hopefully she can help with expanding my business by being okay with my, vending machines, and her helping me get to other locations by letting other property managers know that are in the DFW area that I do vending machines and that I do a good job. The way that I got those two locations is because that apartment complexes, they hired they hired a vending company that did not go out and stock timely. They had to call and say like, hey, you need to stock the machines because it ran out and things of that nature. And basically I remember getting turned down at first because they just hired that vending company to, work for them. And then just like that, I want to say half a year later, they calling me back saying like, hey, we actually want to use your services because the services that we got here is not working. And I offer my vending machine for free. The only thing that I get is just a profit from the machine that people, buy snacks and drinks from. So um yeah, basically somebody messed up on an opportunity and it was my time to shine, and I'm going to keep shining because I love money and I love my opportunity and I want a good reputation. So
That is, that is great. She said she loved money. That's great. That's amazing. So it seems like three, and so soon you're gonna get from three to six to nine, and then you're gonna get them all over. Tell me about what have been some of the challenges of you getting into this business and doing this. I would imagine that you've hit some roadblocks. What were some of those?
oh man, like I didn't create anything new. All I did was reinvent the wheel. So it's like, you know, how do you compete with other people that already have a vending machine inside their facility, right? So they already have a vending machine. How does mine stand out? And that's
Mhm.
where I came up with like, well, actually, I help support minority businesses inside my vending machine. And that's what I just kind of branch off of. And then, people have higher ups, they have bosses. So they have to pitch that to their bosses. And
Mhm.
then they have to figure out, like, hey, do you really need this service or are we okay with what we have? And I'm not going to lie, I have reached out to 100 people at the very least, just by myself within 3 months' time. And
Mhm.
I literally got all no's except for two. And that's because of the two properties that I am in right now. The first
Mhm.
one was a Black man who gave me an opportunity. He loved it. He had a little bit more, he had a little bit more power in his position. So he didn't have to necessarily, like, he got
Go
his
to
high,
the higher ups.
right? He went to the higher ups, but he pitched it in a way that's like, oh no, we like need this. And I have been here for years. He had built up a great rapport. And so he
Mhm.
was able to advocate for me in that space.
Mhm.
So shout out to Charles at Maverick Place if he's watching. Um, and then, like I said, a woman at another apartment complex. She was basically, I came in because somebody else messed up. So if they didn't mess up, I wouldn't have had my two locations after that. I would have still just been stuck on one, and I was stuck on one from September all the way to February. So that was
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 months of just being stuck with one vending machine while trying to expand. But
Mhm.
they say all it does is start off with one, then eventually two will happen, then three will happen,
Yeah.
and then before I know it, I won't have to market as much. It'll just be there.
Yeah.
So Like I'm very excited about it, but I also know, and maybe this kind of goes back to our conversation about entrepreneurship not being for the faint of heart. I'm not gonna lie, it's another issue is you're doing this work all by yourself. You're wearing all the hats. I am now, next month, I'm gonna post it on LinkedIn and stuff. I'm hiring for an assistant. I am hiring for assistant. So what I've been doing is, and this is what's so important about networking with people. I was able to network with one of my really good friends who owns a home, and he said that he wanted to hurry up and pay his mortgage, quicker, but he would never have luck on getting people to rent his rooms or whatnot. And I was like, well, have you tried Airbnb or VRBO and stuff like that? I did it before in Seattle when I had my studio, and every time when I went out on vacation, I made sure to put it up there so that I had some money to help pay for the vacation. And I was like, maybe we can do the same thing for you. Like, you know, I'll take some money to help me with my business and you take the rest to help you with your mortgage. And we were able to make a deal. So basically the money that I'm using for that Airbnb will help with the the cost of me getting an assistant, which I can only pay a certain amount a month. But I try to make sure that they're not working past 10 hours. That is very simple, or not simple work. Um, if it's a college student, I definitely want it to be on their resume or something to highlight and stand out. So, you know, and majority of the work is remotely, so they don't have to necessarily drive everywhere and get certain things. Like maybe if there's a certain event they'll have to drive, but they'll get reimbursed for gas, because I know gas is high nowadays. So I try to make it like, okay, I might can't pay you much, but it is going to be worth it, because I
Yeah.
can't do it by myself. Like that's another hard thing. You're doing it all by yourself. My content is not that great right now, but it will be once I hire this assistant. Um, and like, you can't do it by yourself. You get worn out, and I'm working a part-time job
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
top of that. And the last thing I would say, like the hard part is that, like, if you're an entrepreneur, especially when you have other people working for you have to be okay with being in business and paying yourself last sometimes. I
Yeah.
know sometimes in, like, we think about money and how much am I making and how much am I getting, but your employees, they need a paycheck. They without them, you're back to square one, being by yourself and having to do it all over again. So I also tell people that with entrepreneurship, like, be okay being in the field of paying yourself last. That's what I also heard from my uncle, my mom, and my dad. You got to be okay with paying your employees first, and you just getting the remainders afterwards.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll have days where it's like up skyrocketing, you're profiting, and there's gonna be times where you're not making as much, but guess what? They did the work, and they're great
Hmm.
workers, right? You got to pay them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely. Definitely. I have this question. What have you what have you discovered about yourself through this journey of entrepreneurship? Have you discovered anything new?
I am a lot more driven than I thought I was. Like, my ambition can be a good thing or a bad thing, because I don't like to take no as an answer. Like, I'm like, okay, I hear you. You say no, but we're going to recircle later. Let me get a little bit more experience. Let me get a little bit more. Let me get a little bit more buzz, and then I'll try to make you change your mind. Like I feel like some people say, like, it's me being spoiled or me being hard headed, but I don't like to take no as an answer. And it's like it really gets to me and stuff like that. But I'm just super like ambitious, and then also I realize like I'm not as patient with my business as I should be. Like, I'm very like, this is happening and this is supposed to work. Why am I not getting this in return? Like, what's going on? What do I need to change and stuff like that? But and then there's gonna be times where I do get down, because I remember one time with my vending machines, especially in the beginning. At first, it was hitting, it was popping, boom, 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 and then it kind of stopped. But then also it was the holiday season. A lot of the students were going home, and I probably only netted $30 or $40 that month, and I was just not happy for the month of November, December, and January because
Mm-hmm.
of the holiday. So I was just not happy with it. But yeah, I'm not I would say I discovered I'm not as patient as I am. I am extremely ambitious. And then there's times where, I go in my bubble and I soak a little bit and I'm just like, why is this not happening and stuff like that. But then again, I bounce right back up, kick me down 9 times, I'm gonna get back up 10 because that's what you need to do.
And that's important as an entrepreneur. You got to get back up because you're gonna have some of those times where you are knocked down and you don't feel like going any further, and you have to have that willpower within yourself to say, I know this is my goal and I have to get back up and get to it. What advice would you give to young women listening to this podcast? Um, look, listening to your story and it's resonating with them and they're looking to take that leap, whether it be into entrepreneurship or whatever goal they have set forward for themselves, what advice would you give to them?
Be prepared for a lot of no's. Be prepared for a lot of runarounds because some people, they just, there's people that are super nice, but they don't want to tell you no, but they're not necessarily telling you yes. So you're like always responding back, like, hey, any update on that? And it's just like, it's the same thing over and over again. But you gotta, you gotta be persistent until you actually hear that no.
Hmm.
So I would say like just know that there's always somebody out there that's competing with you. Unless you're inventing the new something, if you're just reinventing the wheel like how I am, you have to showcase what makes your product more or your services more valuable than what somebody already has or is thinking of having. And how do you stand out and stuff? It's all about marketing. It's all about thinking outside that box. um and as women, like, it's hard being a woman. Like, we have the world on our shoulders, we're expected to do so much. But I would say, like, you got to be true to yourself and you can't conform to what society tells you to. Like, they tell us, like, get a man, get married, have kids, work whenever, I guess, like, take care of your kids, and after your kids get a certain age, then you can get back to work and stuff like that. I think now, as millennials and I guess Gen Zs, we're trying to uh say, like, it's okay to do our own narrative and stuff like that. And you know, I guess that's what I would say about being a woman, a minority woman in business. Like, just be prepared for a hard, long road, because it's gonna be hard and long, but it's gonna eventually be worth it at the end. Like, it's going to be worth it. But you got to get through it first. It's just not going to happen unless you just got bomb connections and bomb products straight out the gate. So,
Yeah, patience, consistency. I saw on LinkedIn that you recently posted that you bought a new car. How did that feel?
it felt great. Let me say this. Okay. So, the post before that, I paid off my student loan. So, I paid off about $43,000 worth of student loans in 3.5 years, making about 32K a year. It's definitely less than 35K, but 32K a year. And starting next month, like, I had a lot of people in my inboxes asking, like, how the F did you do that? And I was just like, listen, and if I could give a piece of advice real quick, because I'm not trying to promote this, but I took advantage of this forbearance that we had. If it wasn't for this 2-year forbearance that we had, I would still have at least 15 grand left in student loans. I tell people, if you have student loans and you have a job right now, you pay off that student loans. Because that is not the loan that's the problem. It's the interest that's the problem.
Yes,
Money that
yes,
I do not owe. This 44K, I'm okay with paying back. But why am I getting 6-7% of
exactly.
interest added onto that? And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, honestly, the government, they need to start making different laws when it comes to student loans, like instead of 6 months until you have to pay that back after you graduate, it might take 6 months for you to get a job.
Yeah, that is what cripples you. Yeah.
Right. You might have to take a job that's not in your field but pays until you can get the job that you need, that you took out this loan for. And I feel like, there should be a 2-year forbearance after you graduate from school, or when you're done from school, to get acclimated and to start paying off that loan before any type of interest is added. Because like I just feel like you got to give people grace. 6 months is not enough grace. Give them 2 years after they're done with their school, with their classes, and once they get their degree, to then give them that time, give them that space, and then add on the interest and stuff like that. But basically what I did is, some of it was a lot of was luck. I'm not gonna lie. I would say it's like 80% work, 20% luck. I did DoorDash, Instacart, you know I did Airbnbs. There's the Texas winter storm happened in 2021. I applied for that grant and I had 6 months of rent paid. Within that, I had roommates. I was on a college campus, and I had to share a townhome with 5 roommates because the rent was cheap. It was less than $600 a month. It's just, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get that stuff done? And people think like you need a lot of money in order to pay off debt, which, yes, having an ample amount of money is important, but also, it's what are you doing on the side? One paycheck over here towards student loans, and one paycheck was just strictly for myself, and that was just bills and stuff like that. So I was able to pay off my loans, and then I still had some money left over, and that money that was left over went to the car. And then I was gracious to have my mom know how important the student, like, just getting away from debt and stuff like that. And she was able to loan me the remaining balance, which wasn't a lot, but I told her, like, I rather just pay you off than to pay them off and then have that interest still be
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
So still paying my
Con-
mom back, but
Congratulations on that. And I resonate with your story so well. And this is something we're going to have to talk about in probably in another podcast episode. But coming from the Caribbean, coming from St. Vincent and Grenadines, I came to the US on a student visa to study. And I took out $120,000 student loan from my home country to come to the US, which half of that was transitioned into US money. And when I finished undergrad, I was working at a retail shoe store and selling shoes with an undergraduate degree and living with my sister. And every pay that I got, that pay was going back home into St. Vincent to pay for that student loan. And when I finally paid off that student loan, which was I think was like 3 4 years ago, I was so excited and so happy because that was not the only student loan I had. I had to take out an additional one to finish my undergrad and an additional one to finish my graduate degree. And it was like student loan on top of student loan. And it is so crippling, and it's something we're gonna have to talk about in another episode, in another session, because I have so much stories and so much sacrifices. I couldn't go and shop for new underwears. I couldn't go and buy new clothes and all of this stuff. I was on a noodle diet because I know I had to pay back this student loan and get it off of my chest. And so student loans are so crippling. They are so, and I'm hoping that the government can really do something about it to free up students that are coming out with these student loans, because it's really a detriment to you trying to get out of debt and trying to make it on your own in society. So really congratulations on that, and we're gonna talk about this at another time. But this was amazing, amazing, amazing. I think we went over but 30 minutes, but who cares? People are gonna they're gonna love the discussion, the information, and what you bring to the table. And I'm sure some young woman, some young lady is going to see this and be encouraged in what she wants to do with her life going forward. So thank you so much, Erica, for stopping by the Network Our podcast. Tell our listeners where they can find you, your website, and stuff like that.
So my website is www.iambrown.originations.com. You can also follow me at I Am Brown Originations on Facebook and on Instagram. Um, with the assistant that I'm trying to hire, we will be on TikTok soon, shortly. And so also on LinkedIn, you can just look me up on Aerika Miles, Aerika Miles, and then I have uh, MED for Masters of Education as a tag at the end and stuff like that. And I'll be posting stuff about my business. I haven't put it on LinkedIn simply because like I know I have colleagues that I have worked in higher education in sports administration field there. And it's like, let me wait a little bit until I get a little bit more stable. But then I was like, why would I have to wait? Like, let me just do that. I don't care
Yeah.
what they think because I'm out of it right now. I'm kind of doing my own thing. I'm happy being in working in tech out of all genres. I'm doing tech, working in a tech company, which I never thought beforehand, and I'm happy. So why not, showcase that? And I showcase certain articles and stuff like that. But it's time to if I'm saying I can't, like you said, I should not say that I'm a really small business. I should market myself as something to take seriously of. So I'll start doing that on LinkedIn. But yeah, just that's just how you follow me. I am Brown Originations.
Thank you so much. And again, this has been another episode of the Network Hour podcast. I had so much fun talking to Erica, and I know she had fun too. And you will see us again. We have to come back to give you some information and talk about student loans, that because that's gonna be a hot button topic. But for now, thank you so much, and until next time, enjoy, live, laugh, and love. Bye, everyone.